Welcome to Daily Dose of Knowledge. Today we are talking about something most people do every single day without realizing what it is quietly doing to them. Not drugs, not alcohol, not anything dramatic. Ordinary habits. The ones that feel completely harmless. The ones you have probably done already today. And the damage they cause is not loud. It does not announce itself. It builds slowly, invisibly, until one day you notice something is different. Your memory is not what it was. Your focus slips constantly. Your mood crashes without reason. Your motivation has gone quiet. Today we are going to look at exactly what is happening inside your brain when you repeat these habits, and why stopping them is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. You are chronically sleep deprived, and your brain is paying for it in ways that go far deeper than feeling tired. Sleep is not rest. Sleep is maintenance. It is the only window your brain has to clean itself. During deep sleep, your brain activates something called the glymphatic system, a biological cleaning mechanism that flushes out toxic waste products that accumulate during the day. One of those waste products is amyloid beta, a protein directly linked to Alzheimer's disease. Every night you cut sleep short, that cleaning cycle gets interrupted. The waste stays. It accumulates, day after day, year after year. But the damage does not wait for decades to show up. Even one night of poor sleep measurably reduces memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and decision-making ability the very next day. You wake up thinking you are fine. Your brain is already running at a deficit. And here is the part that should stop you cold. You cannot feel the cognitive decline that sleep deprivation causes. Studies show that sleep-deprived people consistently overestimate how well they are performing. You think you are sharp. The data says otherwise. You reach for your phone within minutes of opening your eyes. Your brain is immediately flooded with information, notifications, comparisons, and stimulation it was never designed to handle first thing in the morning. Your brain wakes up in a slow, creative, consolidating state. That state is valuable. It is when your mind connects ideas, processes emotions from the night before, and prepares itself for the day. Destroying that window with your phone every morning is not a small thing. You are training your brain to never be still. And a brain that is never still loses its ability to focus deeply, gradually, until sitting with one thing for 20 minutes feels genuinely uncomfortable. Neuroscientists call this attention fragmentation. The habitual breaking of focus into smaller and smaller pieces until sustained concentration becomes nearly impossible. You are not distracted because something is wrong with you. You trained your brain to be this way, every morning, one scroll at a time. Every time you check your phone and find something new, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine. That feels good. So you check again. This creates a dopamine loop. A cycle of seeking, finding, and seeking again that gradually raises the threshold your brain needs to feel reward. The problem is that the things that used to feel rewarding stop feeling that way. A conversation, a book, a walk, a meal without your phone. These things produce real, sustained dopamine. But your brain has been conditioned to expect the rapid, shallow hits of the screen. The deeper rewards start to feel flat. Neuroscientists call this dopamine desensitization. And it does not just affect pleasure. It affects motivation, drive, and your ability to pursue anything that requires delayed gratification. The brain that is constantly overstimulated becomes a brain that cannot tolerate the ordinary moments that make up most of life. And most of life is ordinary moments. Which means most of life starts to feel like something to get through rather than something to live. Chronic stress, not the dramatic kind. The low-grade persistent kind that hums underneath everything. Deadlines, financial pressure, relationship tension. The constant background noise of a life that never fully settles. Your brain responds to all of it with cortisol, the stress hormone. And in short bursts, cortisol is useful. It sharpens focus and mobilizes energy. But chronic cortisol exposure does something alarming to the brain. It physically shrinks the hippocampus. The hippocampus is the brain's memory and learning center. It is where new information gets encoded and where emotional memories are stored. Studies on chronically stressed individuals show measurable hippocampal volume loss. The brain is literally getting smaller in the region responsible for learning and memory. And cortisol does not stop there. It also disrupts the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking, impulse control, and long-term planning. This is why people under chronic stress make worse decisions, lose their temper more easily, and struggle to think clearly about the future. It is not weakness. It is neurochemistry. Your brain is being chemically altered by a habit most people call just being busy. Sedentary behavior. Sitting for long, unbroken stretches. And before you say you exercise, listen closely. Research shows that the brain-damaging effects of prolonged sitting are not canceled out by exercise later in the day. Sitting for long periods reduces blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the region most responsible for thinking, planning, and emotional regulation. Less blood flow means less oxygen. Less oxygen means slower, less efficient neural activity. And done repeatedly over years, it contributes to cognitive decline. But there is something even more specific happening. Physical movement is directly linked to the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF is essentially fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the growth of new neurons, strengthens existing neural connections, and protects against neurodegeneration. When you sit for hours without moving, BDNF production drops. Your brain loses one of its most important growth signals. The brain is not separate from the body. What you do with your body is what you do to your brain. Every hour of stillness is a cost your mind pays. Eating habits that spike and crash your blood sugar repeatedly throughout the day. Highly processed foods, sugary drinks, refined carbohydrates. These cause rapid spikes in blood glucose followed by sharp crashes. Your brain runs on glucose. But it needs a steady supply, not violent swings. Every crash is a moment of reduced fuel to the most energy-hungry organ in your body. But beyond energy, chronic high sugar consumption triggers neuroinflammation. Inflammation inside the brain itself. Neuroinflammation has been linked to depression, anxiety, accelerated cognitive decline, and increased risk of neurodegenerative disease. And here is what makes this habit particularly insidious. Sugar activates the same dopamine reward pathways as addictive substances. Your brain learns to crave it, to seek it, to feel low without it. And so the cycle deepens every single day without you ever recognizing it as a pattern that is changing your brain. Chronic loneliness is one of the most damaging states a human brain can exist in. And it is becoming one of the most common. The brain evolved as a social organ. It was built to exist inside a network of other minds. To read faces, navigate relationships, and feel the safety of belonging. When that need goes unmet, the brain does not simply feel sad. It activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Loneliness triggers a threat response in the brain. The same systems that fire when your physical survival is at risk begin firing when your social connection is absent. Cortisol rises. Inflammation increases. Sleep quality drops. Cognitive function declines. The brain begins to operate as if it is under siege. And the cruel irony of chronic loneliness is what it does to perception. It makes the brain hypervigilant to social threat. You start reading rejection into neutral interactions. Withdrawing further. Deepening the isolation. The brain that needed connection most becomes the brain least able to reach for it. Multitasking. Doing multiple things at once and calling it productivity. Your brain does not actually multitask. What it does is task switch. Rapidly shifting attention between things rather than holding them simultaneously. Every switch has a cost. Researchers call it the switching penalty. A period of reduced efficiency and increased error rate as the brain reconfigures itself for the new task. People who habitually multitask show measurably worse performance on tasks requiring focus, memory, and filtering of irrelevant information compared to people who do one thing at a time. But the deeper damage is this. Chronic multitasking physically alters the density of gray matter in the anterior cingulate cortex, the region responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making. You are not just performing worse in the moment. You are reshaping the physical structure of your brain through a habit you call efficiency. Negative rumination. The habit of replaying negative events, worst-case scenarios, and self-critical thoughts on a continuous mental loop. Everyone has negative thoughts. That is not the issue. The issue is the habit of dwelling. Of returning to the same painful thought again and again without resolution. Chronic rumination keeps the brain locked in a stress response. Cortisol stays elevated. The prefrontal cortex stays suppressed. The emotional brain stays dominant. Over time, this creates what neuroscientists call neural grooves. Pathways in the brain that negative thinking has worn so deep they become the default route. Your brain begins to default to negativity not because your life is particularly bad, but because the pathway has been practiced so many times it requires no effort at all. And here is what makes it feel impossible to escape. Rumination feels like problem solving. It feels like you are working on something. Like if you just think about it enough, you will find the answer. But research consistently shows that rumination does not solve problems. It deepens distress, narrows thinking, and makes the same thought feel more true the more you repeat it. Every habit on this list shares one thing. It exploits the brain's most powerful feature and turns it against you. Neuroplasticity. The brain's ability to change itself based on what you repeatedly do, think, and experience. Neuroplasticity is the reason humans can learn anything, adapt to anything, recover from almost anything, but it is not selective. It does not only respond to good inputs, it responds to all inputs, equally, consistently, without judgment. Every time you sleep badly, the neural pathways supporting memory and mood grow weaker. Every time you ruminate, the negativity pathways grow stronger. Every time you fragment your attention, the capacity for deep focus erodes. Your brain is always changing. The only question is what direction you are changing it in. And the uncomfortable truth is that most people are changing their brain in the wrong direction, slowly, invisibly, while going about a life that feels completely normal. But neuroplasticity works both ways. Every direction that leads toward damage also leads back toward recovery. The same mechanism that built the problem can dismantle it. Sleep more. Move your body consistently. Protect your attention like it is something finite and valuable, because it is. Manage your stress before it manages your brain. Eat in a way that fuels rather than inflames. Connect with other people genuinely. Do one thing at a time. Catch the rumination loop and interrupt it before it completes another revolution. None of these are revolutionary, but done consistently, they are the difference between a brain that sharpens over time and one that quietly dulls. Your brain is not fixed. It is not declining on a predetermined schedule. It is responding to you. Right now. Every day. With every choice you make. The question is not whether your habits are shaping your brain. They are. They always have been. The question is whether you are paying attention to how. If this video made you look at your daily routine differently, that discomfort is valuable. Sit with it. Subscribe to Daily Dose of Knowledge for daily videos on psychology, human behavior, history, self-help, and the forces that shape how we think and live. Drop a comment below. Which habit hit closest to home? Be honest, nobody is watching except you. And watch the next video. Because what is coming next goes even deeper into what is quietly happening inside the human mind every single day.